This is Leadership is Calling, a podcast that brings you leadership and business tips anchored in the people part. I'm Annie Hyman Pratt, CEO and founder of Leading Edge Teams. Hello, everyone. I am Annie Hyman Pratt, and you are listening to the podcast Leadership is Calling. And today we are going to talk about prioritization. Prioritization is something that I hear about from CEOs and high-level leaders all the time. And it usually sounds something like this. If my team would just learn how to prioritize better, we could actually get everything done, do a better job, and we'd never be overwhelmed. Okay, so maybe you've heard something like this in the past. Or maybe you've even said something like this, or at least thought it in the past. I know I have. But I want you to know that it's not crazy that things don't happen that way. So prioritization seems like it should be the miracle cure, but in reality, it is way too simple a concept. It doesn't cover enough to actually be helpful. And what I mean by that is when you tell the team to prioritize, okay, let's think about that. The first thing is prioritize based on what? Is it going to be based on what should have happened yesterday? Is it going to be based on what's going to make the highest impact for the product launch that's going to happen in 2 weeks? Should they prioritize based on the huge growth plan that you guys have for next year? Prioritization sounds good, but in reality, it's actually not easy to do because you need so much information to allow you to make good choices. And that's what prioritization is, right? It's basically saying, what should I do first? What should I do next and next? And what that is really all about, because it's not really about the rank of the things we're going to do, as if, we just rank them and we do the top things and whatever falls off the bottom is fine. Okay, because that's one of those things of I usually have leaders who say it's going to be fine if things fall off the bottom. And you know what? When it does happen, they're not fine. Okay, so what prioritization is really all about is allocating resources. Allocating your resources based on the positive impact that those resources are going to have now for what's happening now, and even more importantly, what's going to happen in the future. And to make those good decisions, it's like, think about it as if you have 100 points. Okay, that's your resource bucket. And resources are everything from money, people, people's time, people's energy, people's focus. If we could have somebody be 100% productive all day, every day on, difficult math, that'd be awesome. But that's not how it works. People have only a limited amount of what they can accomplish in any one day, right? In any week or month. And as much as we want to optimize that, right? Let's not have it go down from what's a good level. We can optimize that, but we can't make a ton more on the spot. We can certainly get more efficient at the things we do. But if this were a sport like basketball, it's not like we could fit in 200 more games in the season and everything would be fine. Basketball players have a limited number of games that they can play and be at their best, right? We can stretch it, but we can't just create resources out of thin air. Okay, so we need to think about, we have 100 points. That's how I think it's easiest to think about it. And what are we going to allocate those points to? Because if you have something on the list that you're not going to, we don't have room for any points, then you're going to have to make a real clear decision about, we're actually not doing that. We're not doing that right now, at least. And the best way to allocate those points is based on the impact. So it's like, what's going to have the highest impact on what we're doing now, on what we're executing, okay? Not what we should have executed yesterday, but really looking at the picture of, well, we got done so much from, the past. If we were dropped out of the sky today into this project, what would we really do from here, right? The common way of phrasing this is the sunk costs are sunk. What we did in the past, we can't undo or redo. So now we're in a situation where we want to look at, given where everything is now, what kind of impact could putting resources on this make? It could be that you want to put half your resources for the next month into the current product launch that's happening, because you think you can double revenue that way. Okay, perhaps you want to put in 20% of the resources and you still think that you can get, like a 70% increase or something. That might be a really good investment. But you need to think about it in terms of, I only have 100 points to kind of place my bets. And importantly, you can't use, or I shouldn't say you can't, you can, but you won't be successful in the long run if you put all your points on the current projects. The most successful companies are allocating most of their, well, I should say the majority of their points on things that impact the future, things that are upcoming, right? And the more complex the project, and frankly, oftentimes the more successful the company, the longer planning cycle they'll have. Because the thing that actually ends up saving resources and increases performance at the same time is to have time to think, to evaluate things, to test, to take a step and be able to look at what happened, gain new information before taking the next step on a project, right? All of that needs some time. It also needs, it's the first thing it also needs for people to be able to make good decisions, whether for the short term or the long term. It also very much needs the people making those decisions to have really solid understanding of the context in which they're making the decisions. So what I mean by that is, why are they thinking what they're thinking, right? Like, do they know what the best outcome looks like? And are they basing their choices on, I understand where I can put my points, I understand what the outcomes are supposed to look like, so that I have a sense of what's really important to this business, right? Because if you don't know, then you will easily put all of your points on the things that should be done today, or the things that should be done yesterday, and that you're just going to try to catch up on today. And you won't be able to put points on things that that really are important to your business success for the future, and that you need to understand what that is, right? You can't just understand the picture only right now and be good at prioritizing. I hope everybody can see that. And CEOs tend to get really stuck in making all decisions about what will be the priority today, or where the resources will go. When CEOs are the ones who have to make that decision all the time, it's because their team doesn't have enough context doesn't have enough information about the big picture now and the big picture in the future and where their parts fit. Because then without that, you're asking them to make a decision based on like a third of the scene, right? The scene of what's happening exactly today is a third or less of the variables that you need in good decision making. You need to be thinking about how is this launch, for example, this product launch, how is this product launch performing compared to how we wanted it to perform? And let's say we needed a product launch to do $1 million, and we can see that it's on track to do 850,000. Okay, so the question is, should we take more resources? We think we could probably get it to the million, but should we take some of our resources, some of our points that are on the next launch, which is supposed to be $2 million, should we take some of those points off of that project and put it onto this project for 150? And if you don't know anything about the next project or that it's supposed to do $2 million, if you don't know how that really works, you can't make a decision of, should we live with the 850 or should we pull some resources back to this project so we can make a lot more now, right? We don't have any sense of what's that $150,000 worth. If the next product launch is supposed to be $5 million, so I'm just using kind of big round numbers to make the point here, but if that next project is supposed to be $5 million and you have reasonably good confidence in it, you might not want to pull any points back to this current project, because you may even think like, yeah, we could get another 150, but maybe we'd only get another 50. And if we only got another 50, well, that's certainly not worth pulling some resources back. So I hope that you can see that the prioritization game is really all about where are we going to put the resources, because we have a limited amount of them. And frankly, people are one of our most limited resources, because people have like they're on like a productivity curve. It's like they can do a lot, you add a little more, they can do a lot more, you add a little more, they can do great. But when you add just a little too much, their productivity actually goes the other way. And not only will you not get maximum productivity, you will spend a ton more resources on worse and worse results. And we don't want to do that. So we have to have an understanding of the resources. And then the second thing we have to really understand is, what are we expecting to happen here now and in the future? And how do we want to allocate those points? And to do that, you got to understand all the context. You have to understand, what our goals are all about, some of the at least big picture details of them, and how what we're doing impacts that, not just now, but also for the things that are coming up in the future. I hope that makes good sense. And the next time that you're thinking about telling your team to prioritize better, I think maybe a great thing would be to ask them a couple questions instead. To ask them, hey, how are you allocating the resources right now? Like, if this were a pie chart, tell me about how much you have doing, project A, and how much are you using for project B, and, how much time do you spend on maybe email and administrative stuff? How much do you spend on this future project that we just started? Just, give me a sense of what that looks like, and share with me why you think that's the right allocation, and if you have had ideas about doing it differently. I think that is a great way to approach someone, because you're asking them to share their thinking. And that way you can join in their thinking. Instead of giving them a demand like prioritize better, which I promise you, nobody really knows what that means. Again, prioritize based on what? They're not a mind reader. They don't have all the context that the CEOs or the high-level leaders have. They just don't. And so we need to meet them where we're at. And the best way to do that is to find out what they're thinking first. By far more effective than going into a monologue of just telling them, how you see it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'm so glad you're listening to our podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Leadership is Calling. To learn more about this episode's topic, pick up a copy of my book, The People Part, at your favorite book retailer or at anniehymanpratt.com. Want to learn more about how to uplevel your leadership skills and create a collaborative team that helps you drive results? Go to leadingedgeteams.com/schedule to learn more about working with us and to schedule a call.